Hey, welcome to another episode of MMA Monday Morning Application, where we take what we hear on Sunday mornings and learn how to apply it to our lives on Monday mornings, looking at how it affects our relationship with God and our relationship with others. I guess this is the buzz cut edition, or we could say post VBS edition.
Post VBS.
So got our children's pastor Steve Awtrey with us. Give us a little application. Yesterday, Pastor Steve continued our series on leadership, letters to leaders, and he talked about leading in the home. And I'll tell you, man, it was one of those messages where I was super convicted. Two things happened in the message. One part, my wife texted me and said, "Thank you for leading our family well," and I felt really, really good about myself. And then Steve Taylor said how he was impacted by the family devotions that he had in his home, and I realized, Steve, that it was one of those things that I just don't do well. I don't have a family devotion. We do some stuff. The YouVersion Bible app does a family Bible video that we use a lot of times. I pray over and bless my kids every night, but I really don't feel like I'm leading my family well in that area. And I realized in praying yesterday, and even thinking about this morning, that sometimes it's overwhelming. Even in ministry, for me as a pastor, it's overwhelming for me to put together a family devotion. And I think a lot of people are like me. We don't start because it seems so overwhelming.
Right.
I feel like it's one of those things that something is better than nothing, and I'd love to just start
totally
something.
agree.
So as the expert, the family
I'm not
expert, the children's pastor, and I'll say this, I love our children's ministry. I love having you as a children's pastor, not just as my coworker, but my kids. One of my biggest fears as a pastor is that my kids would hate church, and my kids love church because of your program. But I know it's not one or the other. Like, I can't just drop my kids off to church and not lead them at home, and I can't just leave my kids at home and not take them to church.
Yeah.
So tell us, what, as a children's pastor, what's a good way to start leading a family devotion at home?
I think the number one thing is you have to be intentional. I mean, you have to. If you don't set aside time and a place where you're going to actually do it, you're not going to do it, because we live in a really busy culture. I mean, I know a lot of our kids are playing sports, doing dance, and all kinds of things. So I think you need to say, hey, it's got to be a priority. And I know for me, when I was when our kids are a lot older now, but when they were little, we would try to sit around the dinner table. That's usually, I think that's one of the best places to do it, when you're sitting there eating. Now, as your kids get older, they're not home as much, but you can do different things. You can do a simple devotion from the Bible, or you can do just a simple story. One thing we try to do here with our kids ministry, we do Grow Curriculum, is we send out a follow-up to our lesson. And I think the cool thing about that is the parents can see what the kids are learning, and then they have some questions. You can ask the kids, hey, what did you learn today?
Yeah.
And then you want to have an application to that. It's called application question. And ask them questions. Don't just read something and then pray and then say that's it. I think finding out what the kids are thinking and what they understand about your lesson, I think that's important.
Yeah.
So
that's really good. That's a good way to start too, and I think you supplying us with that is so good. But I think a lot of times, I'll just admit, as a parent, sometimes that just gets lost in the mix. And so, thank you for equipping us to be able to do that. Anything else? Any other advice?
Yeah. Well, this is something we had a mother-son night of fun several months ago, and I shared a devotion, and I'm going to share. It's called 3 Things That Kids Need from the Parents, and the first one is our time. I think there's no more important thing that your kids want from you than time. I know a lot of times we have busy lives, and we'll give our kid a tablet or phone or put on a movie so that we can get things done. Yeah. But there's nothing more important than spending time with your kids. I remember when I was growing up, my dad worked a lot. He was a fireman, built houses, and he was gone a lot. But I still remember when he would take time to go out in the front yard and just throw the football with me.
Yeah.
Those memories are still in my mind, and I remember how excited I was about that. So your kids need your time. You need to show how important that they are to you. Yeah. Number 2, praying for and with our kids. You cannot pray for your kids enough, even when they're young. Pray for their future spouse. Pray for their career. Pray for their salvation. I know several years ago, Virginia and we ended up having Alex, our son, who's 17 now, was going through a tough time, as you know. Middle school and high school can be tough.
Oh yeah.
And he came to us with something, and I still remember this. This was 11 o'clock at night, and me and Virginia were in bed, and Alex comes in our room, and he starts crying, and we just start praying with him. We took him, we hugged him, and me and Virginia and Alex just started praying. And it was one of the most incredible things we ever did for him. So that's important. You want to pray for your kids and pray with your kids. And the last one is you want to live out a godly life in front of your kids. Because you can say anything. You can do a devotion at a table and tell them, Jesus is this. He's the king. He's going to make life so much better. But if they see you in everyday life, you're not living it out, they're noticing. Kids watch you, and they notice exactly what you're doing. And your words mean nothing if your actions don't, follow up what your words say.
Yeah.
So I think those three things: spend time with your kids, pray with them and for them, and live out a godly life. And make that a priority. And be intentional, like I said, with family devotions and stuff. Just set aside a time. Even if it doesn't have to be the same place all the time, you can go to the lake and just, as you're sitting on a boat or whatever, you can have a little devotion. We talk about what all God made, the beautiful mountains, the sun, the lake, and all that cool stuff. Sorry.
Thank you. You're so good at what you do. What's your secret little card over there? What is that?
Oh, I've got a card. I've got 3 questions. I wanted to do something a little different. So I'm going to ask Pastor Jeremy 3 questions, and he's just going to answer first thing that comes to the top of your head.
Oh gosh,
which is kind of scary.
Oh gosh, it is.
All right, and I told him these are pretty easy. So, if you were stranded on a desert island and can take only one thing to that desert island, you can't take a Bible and you can't take a person. What are you taking?
A Celsius energy drink.
That's what you would take.
Yeah, I drink one every morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, that was just right off the dome.
Yeah, that was good. That was
My
good.
phone to call for help.
Okay.
Okay.
It's too late now.
Oh,
You don't have a charger. Remember, you don't have a charger. All right, number 2, dream vacation. You can go anywhere in the world. Where are you going?
I want to go to South America. I really do.
Okay,
Yeah,
South America.
I want to go exploring.
Okay. And the last one is a little more biblical. Who is your favorite person from the Bible and why? And you can't say Jesus.
Can't say Jesus. Favorite person in the Bible has to be Peter.
Okay. Peter off the Brady Bunch?
No, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I like Marcia myself.
Yeah, I like Peter because he's the rock. He's a little knucklehead but bold and loves the Lord. So yeah, Peter.
Well, good answers.
That was awesome. Thank you for making me sweat. Yeah.
Thank you for waking me up at 6:45 this morning.
You're welcome.
And saying, "Hey, I was laying in bed. I'm asleep, and I get a text, and I didn't have my glasses, so I handed it to Virginia, and she said, "Oh man, he wants you to do it."
Hey, listen, I know it's VBS and it's post VBS. You should be resting now, but the Lord pressed upon my heart that you. Hey, thank you for your leadership and everything that you do. Thank you for your advice. And parents, if you're watching this, man, I challenge you to get after it and to start doing something. I'm going to apply definitely what you taught us today. So I appreciate that. Hey, come back next week for another episode of MMA, and we have no idea who I'm going to call at 6 o'clock in the morning and put
Tyler
on here
Moody,
next week.
I think
So
we got to get him.
Yeah, so we'll get Tyler. He has to be here anyway to film it. All right, bye guys.
Okay.
I'll see you next
Love
week.
You.